Can Bama bounce back this weekend against ULM? Let's talk about it right here on Tide Talk Live. What is up, everyone? Stacey, Blackwood, Jake Thomas. This is Tide Talk Live, powered by the Believe Network. Jake, it's been a rough few days since Alabama lost to Florida State. I think we've all talked about it ad nauseum. I think we've all talked about it long enough. It is now time to shift our focus from that tragedy that happened in Tallahassee to hopefully a step in the right direction for Alabama this Saturday in Tuscaloosa against Louisiana Monroe. How you doing, buddy? And are you ready for Saturday to get here to kind of put last weekend in the past?
Yeah, Stacey, I'm doing good, man. I'm ready for some positive talk, moving forward. But gosh, it's been all the negatives, but those negatives can be fixed, and that's what I'm hoping this team does this week. It may not be drastic, but it needs to start improving gradually for the next couple of weeks for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll dive all into that here in just a few minutes. Please do make sure you like, share, and subscribe here on YouTube. Our channel just continues to grow, and we appreciate that so much. Our podcast form is also blowing up right now as well, so we appreciate that. We appreciate Believe Network putting us on their network and distributing our podcast to Apple and Spotify, Amazon, just wherever you find your podcast, you can find Tide Talk Live. And we would appreciate a follow, a download there, and leave us a 5-star written review there on Apple Podcasts, and that would help us out tremendously as well. Please jump in the comments, give us your thoughts on the Crimson Tide. A lot of you have already done that in our past video from Saturday with our instant reaction, but moving forward, we'd love to hear what you think about the Tide, especially as we head into ULM, and we'll obviously be giving our score prediction later in the show, so make sure you jump in the comments and give us those score predictions as well. Smash that like button and share us with all your friends and family. And as you can see at the header there, you can find us at Tide Talk Live on Twitter, also on TikTok. We're on Facebook and Instagram as well. So just search Tide Talk Live, and you can find all the different ways to follow our content on Al Gore's internet. So Jake, we have to start with, like we did last week when we recorded, same time last week. Last week it was Tim Keenan, and this week it's Jeremiah Beaman. Unfortunate news. He was injured on Wednesday at practice, and Coach DeBoer just confirmed during Hey Coach that it is a lower body injury, and they're expecting it to be pretty much for the season for Jeremiah Beaman. And that is just tough news. As the great Luke Combs says, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, it sure is pouring right now on this Alabama team, because looks like we're going to be without Ryan Williams for at least this week, and the injuries bug is definitely on this team pretty hard right now. I guess the positive is looks like Tim Keenan will be back probably. They're hoping next week, and Jim Miller. But man, Jeremiah Beaman, we both had him as a guy who potentially could have a breakout year, and now he's going to be gone for the year. So it's just bad timing, man, because I really felt like he was going to be a breakout candidate because we saw flashes last year of what he could do, and with Tim Keenan being out, getting him some playing time and some reps was going to be huge, and now he's unfortunately going to be sidelined.
Yeah, it's unfortunate news. Not only for Alabama, but for Jeremiah Beaman. A guy who redshirted last year, was able to play in that Michigan game, and kind of really started to show some promise and signs of maybe being a future star on the defensive line for Alabama. Then you get to the first week of the season. He's leading up thinking he's going to be that kind of number 2 guy behind Tim Keenan. Well, a couple days before the game, he's thrusted into the starting lineup. Doesn't play up to his standard, I'm sure, or to the coach's standard. And then this week, he gets injured, and now he's probably going to be out for the season. So I really hate it for Beaman. Like you mentioned, now he's missing out on some quality reps to continue to build his and kind of improve his game. with Tim Keenan out, and so now you're looking at the third guy there at that nose tackle position, Jake. And I mean, there's a potential. It's true freshman London Simmons,
Right.
and it's a guy that we talked about before the game, even last week, that we expected to see him a good bit. And I want to say he saw about as many snaps as Jeremiah Beaman did, and so he's going to have to step up. Adrian Hill's going to have to step up. James Smith is going to have to step up. Isaiah Funga is going to have to step up. Maybe Steve and Boomwa gets a little playing time. Who knows what happens there? But just unfortunate news for Alabama on the defensive line, a position group that was already before the injury to Tim, before the injury to Jeremiah Beaman. It was a position group that we were saying, hey, there's no reason to panic because of the depth. But if we were to have a couple injuries, time to panic. And here we are hadn't even played 2 games yet, and we're down to our top 2 guys at the nose tackle position. So keeping guys healthy along the defensive line is at a premium right now for Alabama. So, I obviously hate it for Alabama, and I hate it for Beeman, but it is an opportunity for some of these younger guys to step up and make a name for themselves here for the Crimson Tide against Louisiana Monroe. And it would be huge if TK could be back for Wisconsin and get a game under his belt, get a bye week, and then face off against the Georgia Bulldogs. So I hate it for Beeman, and the depth is now very concerning, especially on the interior of that defensive line, and hopefully the rest of those guys can stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure, Stacey. And like we have said time and time again, when injuries do occur, it's next man up. But, in this situation, like you said, it's probably going to be a true freshman and other guys who don't have a lot of experience. So, yeah, it is next man up, but they're going in kind of blindly and not a lot of reps underneath them. So, let's hope that they can at least, stop the bleeding a little bit until Tim Keenan comes back, and hopefully he can stay healthy the rest of the year.
Yeah, need him healthy all year long, Jake. I think if this team, and I think we said it last week, that if this team wants to reach its full potential, especially defensively, Tim Keenan has to be healthy.
Right.
And I still say that, and it's even more important now that Jeremiah Beaman's likely going to be out for the entire season. So unfortunate news, but it's football, and you got to move on. You got to get ready if you're some of those younger players, and now's your opportunity to show the coaching staff what you're made of.
Yeah, exactly, Stacey. So we'll see, and I hope for the best with these guys, and hopefully, fingers crossed that the injury bug just stays away for a little while longer, because it's been bad so far.
No doubt about it. All right, Jake, let's kind of shift our focus now to this weekend's game. You have UL Monroe, a team who, Alabama should take care of. I mean, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but Alabama is expected to take care of Louisiana Monroe. They played St. Francis out of Pennsylvania last week. I've never even heard of them.
Neither.
I mean, so I'm not sure what you can take from ULM playing St. Francis and beating those guys 29-0. But just looking at this ULM team, Jake, I know we're not going to be experts of this type of team, but looking at their box score, it looks like they had a pretty good rushing attack. Maybe the passing game is not where it needs to be. They only passed as a team for 123 yards. Their starting quarterback was 12 of 23 for 95 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. So maybe the passing game is not where it needs to be. But if you're an Alabama fan, these rushing numbers have to scare you. They rushed for 311 yards and averaged 7.2 yards a carry. And after the way Alabama looked in run defense last weekend, that has to kind of make your eyebrows stand up a little bit.
Yeah, for sure, Stacey. And the spread is going to change all week, but I think it opened up like at 36.5 points. That is a high spread, not typical normal Alabama standards. It's an easy cover if they play up to their level. But after that Russian attack and lack of on defensive attack, Russian attack last week, man, them averaging around 7 yards a carry, they're going to need to be down about 3 yards a carry this game, and we're going to keep them in check. I'm really anxious to see how the defense responds this week. And I think everybody is, because that's the number one thing is the lack of effort and the lack of past teams, and I know it's a different era of football, but past Alabama teams stopped the run. That's what they was known for. And this team did not stop the run at all last week.
Yeah, and you kind of bring up something talking about the improvements the defense need to make, and that kind of leads me into what I want to talk about next. Is what are you just hoping to see from this Alabama team next week? If you could, sum it up in a couple sentences of or a couple phrases or whatever it is of what you want to see this weekend from this Alabama football team.
I want to see effort. I want to see intensity, and I want to see guys go and make the plays that are there. One thing that I have seen time and time again over the some of the film that's been released, was taking a lot of bad angles on some guys, and all that can be cleaned up. So the effort needs to be a lot better. The intensity needs to be a lot better, and just go make the plays that are there that we missed last week.
Yeah, I mean it's have pride in performance. Have pride in wearing that crimson helmet with those numbers on the side of your helmet. That
Right.
crimson jersey. Does it mean anything to you?
Yeah.
Because and I don't want to get misconstrued. It wasn't the effort the entire game. It was the few plays where the effort was lacking, but you can't have a lack of effort on any play.
Right.
Every play you have to give it your all because you're not guaranteed the next play.
That's right.
And the truth is, and us, we hate to even call out any players. It's just that's not us. But the last person that I ever thought on this roster that I would see loafing around on the football field was Bray Hubbard.
Right. Right.
And that bothers me, Jake. That's not who he is.
No,
that's not who he's ever been.
No.
And I think he'd be the first person to tell you that. I'm not sure what he was dealing with last weekend. Maybe he was sick. He was injured. I don't know. I'm not making an excuse for him, but that's not who he is. That's not who he showed as who he was at all last year. He is literally the last person I would expect to be loafing on the football field. Yeah. And he did.
Yeah.
And it's unacceptable, Jake. So I just want to see pride and performance, max effort, and those things. Coach DeBoer has called them non-negotiables. There's no negotiating whether you play hard or not.
Right.
You either play hard or you don't play. And so I want to see that. It's more than I want to see anything else. Does it mean something to these guys?
Yeah.
And they can talk all they want. Coach DeBoer can say what he wants to say. Coach Grubb, Coach Womack. The players can say whatever they want to say about what this week of practice has been like. What the message in the locker room was after the Florida State game. Talk is talk, and talk is cheap. It's time to prove it, Jake. I mean,
right.
I don't know how many failures you need to wake up and see that whatever you're doing is not working, and however you're performing is not up to the standard.
Yeah.
So it's time to show up and show out.
Yeah.
And I know, and this is where, and it's kind of fitting that you're playing a team like UL Monroe, where you're always fighting the complacency part because you're playing an opponent that you should beat, blindfolded.
Right.
So not only does this team have something to prove, but they're having to build up to play a team they know they should beat, basically no matter what. So I just want to see some fire in their belly. I had a coach that said, play with some fire in your belly. I don't even know what that means, but that's what I want the guys to play with.
Right. Yeah. And I said this on my show earlier. When you put on, that Alabama uniform, that scripted A, everybody, the past players went out there and gave 110%. Those guys gave about 50% on a lot of those plays. That's not the Alabama standard, like you said. So, yeah, I'm with you. Matt Sefford, I want to see that, and I want to see them play with a fire. And I jokingly have said, and I'm going to plug this in real quick. We do have a Discord, so get Tide Talk Live. Get in there on the Discord. I believe I put this in there, and I'm being totally unrealistic when I say this, but I want to see at the end of the game they don't get past the 50 until late in the fourth quarter, and I want it to be 185-0. That's totally unrealistic, but that's what I want to see. I at least want to see them come out and play with a fire like they should and beat the team like, beat them like a drum like they should and like everybody expects that they should.
Yeah, what you're saying, Jake, is leave no doubt.
Right.
When you walk off the field Saturday night in Tuscaloosa, leave no doubt. The fans leaving the stadium, they won't doubt anymore whether this team has it in them to play with urgency, to play with fire, to play with passion, to play like it means something to you.
Right.
Coach Saban said in that viral video before that LSU game back when he first took over as Alabama head coach, does it mean something to you? Because if it means something to you, you can't sit still.
Right.
And what he's saying is if it means something to you, you can't loaf. You can't take a play off.
Right.
You can't expect somebody else to pick up your slack. You're responsible for your own self-motivation to do your job and to do what needs to be done and to be there for your teammates and trust that they're going to do their job.
Right.
And that's all I want to see. Leave no doubt. I don't care what the score is. Leave no doubt.
Leave no doubt.
Leave no doubt. All right, Jake, let's kind of look at a couple ULM players to watch. I have a feeling we're probably going to pick the same guys because, there's not a ton out. This is obviously a brand new season. You don't have a lot of film on these guys. We don't know a ton about these guys because, a lot of their key players either graduated last year or transferred to different schools. And but is there a certain guy you're kind of keeping your eye on this weekend?
Yeah, Brandon McReynolds right there. 11 carries, 113 yards. That's 10.3 yards a carry. That's very impressive. So he's going to get the ball probably early and often, and we need to be ready for him because I have I'm with you, Stacey. I've not watched any of their game last week, but with those kind of numbers, it seems like he gets the ball and he goes upfield as quick as he can. So a linebacker is going to have to be ready to be in that gap and not get blown out of that gap like they did last week. Be in that gap and take that hit and get him down.
Yeah, and their QB can run too. And by the way, the Braylon McReynolds kid, he's a Mobile, Alabama native, so he's going to have a little extra juice in him as well to kind of prove his home state team wrong that they didn't recruit him the way he probably thought he should have been recruited. So there's a little extra for him as well. So there is going to be some QB run involved as well. Now, look, there's no secret he's not a Thomas Castellanos who's quick as a cat and can make somebody miss in a phone booth, but this is a guy who can run. He is athletic, so that's going to be part of their offense as well. And defensively, Jake, they had a defensive back, the Arco Perkins McAllister, who had 8 tackles and 2 sacks as a DB. So this is obviously a guy they like to move around the field a lot and is a playmaker for that defense. So those are a couple guys that Bama fans need to be watching out for this weekend in Tuscaloosa, one on each side of the ball. And obviously you always got to be paying attention to the quarterback and what the opposing quarterback is doing. But those two players are really the two guys I'm watching the most.
Yeah, I agree, Stacey. He McAllister looked like he, like you said, moves around a good bit and coming out of the backfield or out of the secondary, a defensive back to get 2 sacks. That's very impressive.
Yep. All right, Jake, Alabama players you have your eye on this weekend, maybe somebody who's, obvious, or maybe somebody you kind of have a feeling could burst onto the scene a little bit this week.
Well, my number one guy is a guy we've talked about, and that's Bray Hubbard. I want to see him. And I also mentioned this, and I never got confirmation if this was true or not, but I saw something saying that he was like an honorary captain in place of Tim Keenan on this team. If that is the case, and he was given that effort, on the field, that is not a good look. So if you are an honorary captain in place of Tim Keenan at the time, you need to show up and be a captain, and you, especially you, need to play 110%. So I want to see him more focused and more determination this week. And on the offensive side of the ball, I want to see Riley get more touches. I really think we have something there with that kid. I really love Richard Young. I really love Daniel Hill, but Riley just runs with some kind of edge I love about him. So it kind of reminds me of like a TJ Yeldon type running back. So I'd like to see him get more touches and us not abandon the rushing attack too early.
I love both those picks, and just to kind of add on to what you said, Hubbard, I would expect him to play like a man possessed
Yeah,
this weekend, and that's really all I'll say about that. And then as far as Kevin Riley's concerned, yeah, I mean that kid's just so explosive, Jake. I mean, you can tell his burst is next level good. So I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if we saw a couple, big time runs from him or any of the other backs this weekend as Alabama tries to get that ground game going and help Ty Simpson out a little bit. But the guys I'm going to be watching defensively, I gotta stick right there in the middle of that defensive line with TK out and Jeremiah Beaman out. I'm going to go with a guy like London Simmons, the true freshman from Mississippi. Can he hold up? How does he look? He's got some reps under his belt now in a real game against some really good competition. So what does London Simmons look like there in the middle of that Alabama defensive line? Offensively, I want to see Ty kind of take the next step. This is a good opportunity for him to take the next step. He had good moments last weekend. He had bad moments. There's so many times last week where I thought, or when he's on the run and he made a poor throw. There's the one where everybody knows where he should have kept running to pick up the first down and extend the drive, but he tried to throw the ball on the run, and it was very inaccurate to Ryan Williams. So, just improving on those things. Just the decision making overall was pretty solid because he didn't turn the football over. So another mistake-free game in terms of not turning the football over, but kind of taking that next step of being a more consistent decision maker and being more decisive with the football. I know the offensive line was not great, but not all the pressures and all the times Ty Simpson was screaming out of the pocket were on the offensive line. Sometimes that clock got sped up on Ty, and he abandoned the pocket and bailed out too soon.
Yep.
So that's just part of being a young quarterback and learning and maturing at that position. And a lot of times you can't do that until you actually play a game, because in practice you're not getting hit.
Right.
And you can practice all you want to, but if in the back of your mind you're not getting hit, that makes a world of difference. So I'm anxious to see what next steps Ty can make in his progression as the starting quarterback for Alabama. So I'm looking out for London Simmons and Ty Simpson, and kind of if both of those guys can kind of take the next step now they've got a full game under the belt as a pretty prominent player on this Alabama football team.
One like an honorable mention I'm going to say, and it's kind of like a committee type deal, but the wide receivers minus Germ. We know Ryan Williams is probably not going to be playing, so a lot of eyes are going to be on Germ this week. So this is a chance for Isaiah Horton. I know he was hurt, good, kind of banged up last week.
I think he's good now, though.
Okay, good. So Horton, Rico Scott, Cole Adams, somebody is going to get some good looks this week, because I guarantee a lot of the eyes in that defense is going to be on Jeremy Bernard this week for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good point. And real quick, I think you mentioned Germ, and I want to point out something we've talked about in our Discord. I've seen a lot of people talking about it on social media. Everybody's real hard on DeBoer right now, and I get it. I mean, he deserves it. He's making $10 million a year, and he's 5-5 in his last games. That's not going to cut it,
right?
But I think about something. The three most consistent players in Week 1 were Jeremy Bernard, Parker Brailsford, and Josh Cuevas. Jake, tell me what all three of those guys have in common.
They followed DeBoer from Washington, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know how much you can take from that, but I do think it is something.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's something. What that something is, I can't put my finger on it, but Jeremy Bernard was the most consistent receiver for Alabama last year. Parker Brailsford was the most consistent offensive lineman for Alabama last year. Cuevas had a couple older guys ahead of him, but when he was given opportunities last year, he played really well.
Yep.
He played well Saturday. He did such a good job chip blocking, called a touchdown pass. I mean, there is something to the 3 guys that followed DeBoer
Mhm.
being consistent football players
Right.
and everybody else kinda being up and down.
Yeah. That's true.
Now, y'all can take that however you want. I'm just saying it is worth considering.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to kinda add that in here as you brought up Jerem, and I wanted to mention that. And by the way,
Mhm.
uh, we don't give Jerem Bernard enough credit.
No, we don't.
He's a dude, Jake. He's
He
a
is.
dude. He is working himself into being a first round draft pick. I
I
don't know
love
if
it.
I don't know if he'll get there or not. I don't know what kind of 40 he's going to run. That's going to be a big part of that because he's probably going to measure around 6'1", 205 to 210. If he can get to me a 4.5 or under,
Mhm.
if he could get a 4.45, I think he's a lock for a first round.
Yeah.
But our dude, he's just so consistent, man.
He is.
Runs good
Very consistent.
routes, blocks his rear end off for his
Mhm.
teammates, and just makes plays. I mean,
Yeah.
he's Mr. Reliable, and there's something to be said about that. And I just wanted to kind of give him props because that dude's a gamer, man. He just makes plays.
Absolutely. I believe on that on Josh Cuevas's pass where he took it down the sideline for a good bit. I think it was Jeremy Bernard and Rico Scott on that
It
side
was,
blocking.
it
So
was.
I mean, Jeremy Bernard at that moment was the best receiver on the field and playing well, but yet he's out there doing the small things as well to help his team win. I love his character. For sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, Jake. Let's start to wind things down. Let's go to bold predictions for this game. What do you got this week?
Uh, well, my defensive touchdown didn't happen this week, so or last week. So
Oh,
this
man, and
week,
mine almost happened. Mine was that Ty Simpson would have a rushing touchdown,
I
and
know,
and
yeah,
I thought he was fisting to take off running for the touchdown, and he would have scored.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I should get half credit for
Okay, you get half credit,
that.
so half a point. But this week, I think you're going to see a different level of intensity from this team, and overall, I think they're going to gel a lot better. But a bold prediction, I'm going to say since Jerm's going to have a lot of eyes on him, I'm thinking Rico Scott's going to have 100 yards in receiving this week.
Love it. That's a really
Mhm,
good one. That's a really good one.
mhm,
All right, I'm gonna go on the offensive side too,
mhm.
and I'm going to say because I don't know what to make of the defense, that's why I'm going sticking with the offense.
Yeah,
But I'm going to say Alabama has 2 backs that rush for over 100 yards.
I love it. I hope so. That's awesome.
I don't know which 2,
Mhm,
and part of that, I'm not gonna say they're consistently churning out 5 yards a carry, but I think we're gonna have a couple big plays in the running game,
mhm.
and kinda like what happened late against South Florida last year, if you remember, in that
Yep.
4th quarter where they were kinda wore out and, you know, Haynes and Miller were able to kinda break free late in that game and break off a couple long runs. I'm
Mhm.
thinking something similar to that can happen in this game as well, where this Alabama just leans on them for so long and those backs break free and Alabama gets a couple guys over the century mark. That would be massive for the confidence and and
Yep.
and and building down the road on the rushing attack front. So
Mhm.
2 backs for 100 plus yards, and Jake says Rico Scott goes for 100 plus receiving.
Mhm.
Uh, if both of those happen, probably going to be a good day for Alabama.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Jake. This is where things get interesting.
Mhm.
I want to say the last I looked, the spread was 36.5. I could be wrong. It could have
Yeah.
changed by now. We'll go with 36.5. Before you give your score prediction, do they cover the spread?
No.
Okay. So what's your score prediction?
I'll just say the reason why I don't think so is how football is played now. The game clock does not stop until you know 2 minutes left to go in each half. It's just constantly running. Don't matter if you run out of bounds and all that, or there's an injury on the field, it stops. But so it's so hard to on a large spread like that for it to hit unless you're just going down the field and scoring within like 4 or 5 minutes of each other, just like that. But I think Alabama rebounds, and I'm going to say they win 35-17, and I'm going to say the 17. I think it late in the fourth, it's like 35-10, but we probably got some subs in there, and they give up a late touchdown. So I think Alabama does rebound and wins 35-17.
Jake, I would not feel good with a 35-17 win.
I wouldn't either. But
That's only
like,
an 18-point victory.
yeah,
That's half the spread.
but like I said, it's a late touchdown, like a garbage time
Yeah, them points
touchdown.
still count.
It does.
Ooh, if that happens, Jake, I think you're going to still have a lot of mad fans.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I just have no confidence right now in the defense.
Yeah, it's hard to have any. It's hard to have any.
Yep.
I'm not going to say I don't think they cover the spread either.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a lot closer to the spread than what you're thinking. I've been going around, 38-10. I think I'm going to settle at 42-10
Okay.
is what Alabama gets to. So, win by 32 points, almost right there at that spread. And I just feel like this is a game where, regardless of what the score is, Jake, how much can you truly take away?
Right.
And you got to win first and foremost. The score don't matter. You got to win. Winning's the most important thing. But I do think right now, more than ever, just from an optic standpoint for Alabama fans, they better look dang good Saturday.
They better for sure.
And I'm with you. It's hard to have a ton of confidence in this defense right now, simply because of the inconsistency, Jake, and their inability to stop the run.
Yeah. Yep.
And maybe they can get it corrected. I don't know, but I'm not going to predict they get it corrected. I'm going to have to wait and see it.
Yeah. I almost want them to sell out and sell out for the run. And if they give up big yardage in the pass, that's fine in the passing game. Just sell out and every play just have 8 people in the box. Every single play.
ULM would have to beat me in the air before I ever played 2 high safeties.
Exactly. Yep.
Bray Hubbard needs to be in the box the entire night.
I agree 100%.
Head hunting.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. Well, that's enough. It's hard to be extremely positive right now simply because of, and it's not the losing. The loss hurt, Jake, but it's the way they performed, the lack of effort that we saw on the tape, the way they played on their heels, especially defensively. And actually, I think Coach DeBoer tonight on Hey Coach, I got a chance to watch that before we came on here and recorded. He talked about how, the offense had the good start, but they couldn't sustain.
Right.
And then the defense had such a poor start, and they kind of got a little better as the game went on, especially in the second half. He said, but we've got to find a way to do that all together.
Right.
And that's so true. If you cannot play complementary football, and what I mean by that is, the defense goes and gets you a 3 and out or creates a turnover for you, and then the offense does their job and turns that into points.
Right.
That's been missing, Jake. And when you don't play complementary football, you're not setting yourself up for success, especially against really good football teams. So I want to see some complementary football where the defense makes plays, then the offense capitalizes, or maybe the offense can get you a lead and the defense is able to kind of feed off that energy and play with, I don't want to say reckless abandon, but after what I saw last week, I want them to play with reckless abandon on defense, Jake.
Yeah, for sure.
Not on their heels.
Mm-hmm.
You can't play defense on your heels.
No.
You got to attack. You have to attack.
Yep.
I want to see that. I want to see more aggressiveness, both offensively, but especially defensively from this team. And Jake, I just want to see some execution. I want to see some heart. And I want to see this team look like they just got their face kicked in, and they don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
And I'm with you, Stacey. If the loss that you said hurt, but what hurts the worst is I would have been fine with the loss if we gave 110% effort.
Yeah. If I thought, man, Alabama did all they could do, Florida State was just better.
Right. I'm probably fine with that.
It is what it is.
Yeah. But them laying off, 10 plays cost Alabama that game. 10 plays.
Yeah.
0 effort in those 10 plays.
Yep. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in to our preview and prediction show. Please do jump in the comments, give us your score predictions, give us your bowl predictions. and kind of what you're looking forward to seeing in this matchup between Alabama and ULM on Saturday night in Tuscaloosa under the lights of Bryant-Denny Stadium at Nick Saban Field. Of course, now they have the sponsors on the 25-yard line, which is just crazy. What has this sport turned into? It's crazy. That's for a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun, Jake. Can't wait to get back
Absolutely.
on Saturday night after the game to hopefully talk about a really good performance from this Alabama football team, because the players need it and the fan base certainly needs it as well. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back Saturday night, good Lord willing.
Yep.
We hope to see you here. And until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.